Welcome to I Love This Thing So Freaking Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Hayley, an English teacher who has been living in South Korea since 2017. Welcome to the show, Hayley.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. So, here is how this works. Hayley will have 3 minutes to talk about something that she loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything she wants. Our only requirement is that she loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Hayley?
Yes, I am.
All right, got my timer here. Now, what do you love so freaking much?
So I have been living in South Korea since 2017, and I feel really passionately about South Korea, but also just living abroad in general. I came here as an English teacher. I was a substitute teacher in America, and I had one of my friends from college who moved to South Korea about 2 months before I came out here. And when she was telling me about her process, she just was talking about how easy it was, how possible it was. And even though there are some visa legal hurdles to get to, she made it all seem very possible and realistic. And I was freshly graduated from college, and I had absolutely no plan, absolutely no direction. And I said, you know what? I'm teaching here. Let's try doing it somewhere else. And so about 2 months after she arrived, I came to South Korea, and I just fell in love with living here. I fell in love with the food, the culture, the people, my students. I've lived in 2 cities now. I've lived in Yongin, and now I'm currently living in Pyeongtaek. They're very, very different. Yongin is very close to Seoul, the capital city, and Pyeongtaek is about an hour and a half south of Seoul, but it's also where the major military base is for America. So I'm actually surrounded by way more Americans than I'm used to in my almost 4 years here. So it's been very interesting seeing 2 different sides of living here. Some things that I really, really love about living here is the transportation. Even though I'm like an hour and a half out of Seoul, I'm actually still on the subway line, and I can take the subway to work. I can take the subway all the way to Seoul if I wanted to. I can take trains, buses. You don't need a car here, and I really, really love that because personally, I don't like driving very much. So I feel like I gained my independence moving here. Everything from there's affordable housing. It's safe. Like I can walk around at nighttime and not be scared for my life. And that is invaluable for me. Healthcare, even just everything, especially right now with COVID happening. I know that a lot of people have had a lot of misfortunes and lost work and stuff, and we did too here in Korea. My schools closed down for periods of time.
Go ahead and finish your thought.
Okay. But I feel really lucky to live somewhere where I can have health care provided by my job.
Absolutely. That's very important. Thank you. Thank you for telling us about living abroad in South Korea today.
That 3 minutes went by fast.
I know. Isn't it fun? Where to start? You mentioned earlier in your talk, you mentioned that you love the food and the culture in South Korea. Could you go a little bit into detail about some of the specifics you love?
Yeah. I'll start by saying I don't think I'm going to live in Korea forever. But I am planning on being here for the foreseeable future. And once I leave, the thing I will miss the absolute most is the food. It's just food that I've never had before living in America. I've been told now there's like an increase in Korean food restaurants in America, which I think is super cool. It's very meat-based, spicy, soy sauces and like red pepper paste sauces. Sorry, I don't actually know the words for a lot of the food in English because they're things that I only learned about here.
Well, you could go ahead and throw in the words in Korean if you'd like.
like gochujang, which is a like red pepper paste, is the base of a lot of food here. And it can be spicy, but when they mix it with a lot of things, it's actually really delicious. There are foods like dak galbi and like jindak, like lots of chicken based and lots of pork based foods.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that the food was different than what you experienced in the United States growing up. I can only assume that there were other things that were unfamiliar when you first got there. Can you tell me about some things that you had to get used to over the last few years?
Yeah, I'd say a big thing is things that are polite in America, where I grew up, versus things that are polite in Korea can often be
Hmm.
very different. And things that are rude in America are acceptable in Korea. And things that are acceptable in America are rude in Korea. And that's been kind of like a weird hurdle mentally to get over because we're almost trained to like think that something is really negative or insulting. And then when you come to a place where it's not, you have to, they're not the problem, you're the problem for having a different upbringing. So you have to kind of adjust how you interact with people.
Like what? Give me an example of something that's rude in the United States, but okay in Korea.
One thing is, and if anyone has been to Korea, they will know what I mean. Pushing and bumping into people is completely a daily occurrence here, and no one will even look back at you, let alone say they're sorry or acknowledge that they bumped. It's like if you're going onto the subway, it's just like shoulder bump, shoulder bump, shoulder bump, and everyone's just like pushing through. I've been elbow checked, hip checked, pushed aside,
Uh-oh.
but it's just part of like the population of Seoul is like almost 10 million, and there's more people in Seoul than there is in Manhattan.
Mm.
So it's just, I think honestly, growing up in a place where you got to get from point A to point B, and there's just a lot of people, so you got to do what you got to do to get where you need to go.
So how about the opposite? What's something that I probably do plenty of times in the United States, but I really shouldn't do if I ever go to South Korea?
This is a common one. Giving something to somebody with only one hand.
Ooh.
You're not supposed to hand something with just one hand. You're either supposed to use two hands or put your hand on your other arm or on your chest as you hand it.
Interesting.
And if you do it with one hand, it's seen as very rude because you're kind of just like carelessly throwing something at somebody.
Oh, so it's like you have to show you're putting thought and care into handing something over instead of just tossing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when I actually come back to visit America, I notice I still do it because it's been so ingrained in my brain now that even when I go back home, I still hand things with two hands over to cashiers.
Well, it's probably you probably dropped things a lot less than you ever used to.
That's true.
Tell me about what it's like to teach English in South Korea.
It is extremely overwhelming and extremely fun. Like, there is just, it's the kids. What I always tell people is kids are the same everywhere. Like,
Mm-hmm.
things that my 13-year-old students have, it's the same kind of personalities, interests, things they like to do for fun, attitudes as kids in America or kids anywhere. Like, kids are kids, and the thing in South Korea is that they're learning English as a choice, or their parents are making them, but it's an
Yeah, they are
elective.
kids.
Yeah, so, but it's an elective for them. So it's something that I guess the like passion for being there is a bit different than kids who are like just part of their school system. Like, they come to me as part of an after school program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like supplemental on top of their elementary school or middle school. So I guess I have a little bit more freedom to do fun things and just seeing their progress and seeing their interest. Like, I had a student who won a competition, a speech competition, and got to fly to Arizona for free because of her English speech contest that me and another teacher helped her with and trained her with for months.
That's awesome.
And that was incredible to see.
You must have been really proud.
Oh yeah, I still teach her. I love that girl. Sarah. She's very sweet. I don't think she'll
Wonderful.
ever listen, but shout out to Sarah.
Is there anything that you wish you knew back in 2017 when you were first moving to live abroad? Maybe some advice for someone else who's just getting started?
No place is perfect. So, as much as go with an open mind and an open heart and just try to experience as much as you possibly can when you arrive, any country, but also South Korea. Like, say yes to everything. Just if someone shows you a food that you've never had before, just say yes. That's how I ended up eating live octopus one time.
Live octopus.
It was still moving, the little legs. But I was with a bunch of Korean friends and they asked me, hey, we want you to try this. And I didn't want to be that foreigner who says no. So actually tastes pretty good.
Good to know. Hayley, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun talking about it.
That's great. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about living abroad in South Korea or our guest, Hayley, you can find her social media information in the episode description. And don't forget to use the hashtag #LoveThisThingCast to tell us about the things you love. I Love This Thing So Fricking Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed by Sophie A. Katz and edited by Melissa Block. You can find us at Through the Window on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. That is THROU, the window, at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.